As our population grows, so do our demands on the global system of agriculture. Though we're definitely growing more than we ever have before, one thing we're not growing any more of is arable land. In fact, arable land around the world is decreasing, and once it's gone forever. Farm machinery is getting more expensive, and farmers are losing their skilled workforce as people migrate from rural areas to cities. Consumers are demanding more, wanting environmentally friendly food without necessarily wanting to pay a higher cost. So we're faced with the challenge of producing more food of higher quality on less land at lower cost with fewer people who have potentially lower skill sets. Well, that's a lot of problems for me to solve all on my own, but I am looking at a small part of what might be a solution, which is the design of autonomous control vehicles. Specifically, I'm looking at harvesters, known as combines. Automation means less labor and offers the potential for precision controls, which can reduce fuel consumption and increase threshing efficiency. It may also reduce the cost of these machines, because the operator cabs are actually surprisingly expensive to design and manufacture. Now, it's unlikely that we'll have a bunch of automation engineers available to run these machines, so they have to be simple and easy to use. They also have to be able to detect machine overloading and prevent the ensuing breakdown, which can cost thousands of dollars an hour. Particularly in Manitoba, where we have one of the shortest harvest windows in the world, this is important. Now, there are hundreds or even thousands of things we could be monitoring to understand what's happening in these vehicles, but this is computationally expensive, especially in real time, and we're talking about areas that typically have poor connectivity. I would argue that it's not really necessary to be monitoring all that stuff if all we're trying to do is to know enough to detect a change and prevent damage before it happens. So let's take a look at operators today. Despite an ever-increasing amount of screens, monitors, alerts, and gauges to let them know what's happening, most operators still rely on an old technology as one of their primary indicators of something going wrong: their ears. Now, if you think about it, it's really not all that surprising. Our brains have evolved to take a huge amount of information from sound. There are whole car sound libraries that exist online so that somebody with no mechanical knowledge whatsoever can pretty accurately diagnose what's wrong with their vehicle just by listening to the sound it makes and comparing it to a system of classified errors. And that's kind of similar to what I'm trying to do here. Once a sound can be represented mathematically through the fast Fourier transform, characteristic features can be identified and used to create a classification system of operating modes. This system can then be used in the field to detect specific scenarios and trigger automatic shutdowns, preventing damage before it happens. Though I'm only looking at a few scenarios, my hope is that someday soon, sound will be as valuable to our combines as it is to our brains. Thank you.